Yeah, so meanwhile, we'll try to recollect that on the concepts which we have completed. So we have, you have completed almost two basic pillars. So one is about the Linux, and the second one, AWS, about the cloud. So quickly in the chart window, how do you rate about yourself on the Linux out of 10? So overall, in all the concepts. So how do you rate about yourself out of 10 in the Linux and as well as AWS? Just give me that quickly in the chart window. Yeah, ping me to that privately. Don't ping that to everyone. Yeah, I see that's the 8. Great. Yeah, 5 to 6, because I have only completed 50 to 60% of the, is it Linux or AWS? Which one? And AWS equal to 8 and 7 to 8 on AWS. 8 out of 10 on AWS. Oh, great, man. So Linux 8 and AWS 7. Oh, Linux 8. Good. AWS 7. Okay, Linux 7 out of 10, Linux 6, Linux 6 out of 10, and AWS is 7 out of 10. And Linux is 5 and AWS 7. Okay, good, good. Good to know that. But Linux 5. Okay, some people 5, some people 6, 7, 8. Okay, great. Great to know that about your confidence level. But if you mention that's the 5 or 6, just thinking about it, where do you stand it and what are the things that is required to recollect it and review it. Yeah, practice on it. So that is the Linux is also very important. So for the AWS developer, you are learning that also. Yes, Linux, if you are good, so then like that will be more helpful. Where it is going to helpful, I'll come back. Actually, we are just learning that one by one. The Linux first basic pillar, then AWS. Now today we are going to start it, the programming language, that is about Python. But the actual story which comes, that's later. So all these things, whatever we are learning, that one by one, the inputs. But actual, the way do we apply that all these things together, that is whenever we are going to work with the projects, you will get it. Fine. Are you good to go ahead? But before going ahead to this the agenda, let me run the two polls. So I would like to run two polls. So first poll, maybe you see this now. So do you have the programming knowledge already or not? So how many of you are already having the programming knowledge? Can you confirm this? That means if you have the computer's background and if you know the any one of the programming, I'm not talking about the specific to the Python. So if you know any one of the programming language, that could be Java, that could be, yes, maybe in your, yeah, C program, C++, so in your academic career, or if you know already the Python, that's fine. But mention that, do you have the programming knowledge or not? Okay. But here we have this almost 17 people, okay, 15 people around of it. But out of that, I see the polling only 12 members. What about remaining people? Yeah, I don't want that, like which programming you have this knowledge. For the timing, I don't need that. CSS HTML don't include that. So CSS HTML, that is not the programming. So don't say that I have the knowledge on the CSS HTML. That is different stuff. If you know the CSS or HTML only, then mention that I don't know programming. Come on, man. Still some more people has to vote it. I see this only 12 members here voted, but I'm expecting. So I'm going to end up the poll, but by that time, so everyone should complete it. So next 10 numbers, I'm going to count it. So before that, yes, close it that. So 10, 9, 8, still I see that 2 or 3 members required to. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Yeah, if you knew the shell script, okay, that's fine. You can mark it. 2, 1, go. Thank you. So the overall, if you see that, so the results, so out of the 14, 3 members voted I know, and 11 members the voted I don't know. Okay, if you don't know, it's really good. Don't worry about it. But if you know it also, that is good. So either the case, that's fine. But for my calculation point of view, in my session, how many people knows the programming and how many of you don't know the programming, just to know that. So this calculation. So this is, don't worry about that. If you know the programming or if you don't know the programming also, so no issues on it. Okay, now we see that only 3 members knowing the programming out of 14. Good, let me run that one more poll. This is regarding the Python. So how many of you know the Python? Now we have the 3 members who are only 3 members, right? Okay, fine, good. So voted, that is 3 members. Out of those 3 members, how many of you know the Python? This is specific to the Python, I'm asking that. And about your the level of that knowledge. Do you know the basics? Do you know the moderate? Or do you know the advanced? So just let me know those statistics also. Okay, so out of the 3, moderate to 2 members. Good. And I know the basics. Okay, that is 3 members. But before that programming, only like I got it only 3 polls. I mean 3 votes. But here I see that like a Python knowing that 3 plus 2. Multiple option don't select it, only single choice. But 5 we got it here. Why we got the difference? They're only knowing the program 3 members, but here overall knowing that the Python either basics or the moderate 5 members. Okay, good. Anyway, no issues. So this is the result, we got it. So I don't know 8 members. I know the basics. I know moderate. Fine, good, no issues. First of all, why do we need the programming? I mean, why do we need to learn the programming? Anyone? Okay.
Hi, sir.
Yeah, hi.
To communicate with the system and to operate with it.
Bobby. No. That much, I mean, that is a definition we don't know. It's simple. So why do we need the program to communicate with the system? You were saying that. Oh, that is definition of the programming. Simple and general terminology. See, like in our regular activities, we are using the apps, right? Like mobile apps or web applications or gaming applications. So how those applications are getting implemented? Simple. So don't make it that like a complex. Yes, simple. So to develop that websites or to develop that gaming applications or to develop yes mobile apps. But yes, different softwares which are available to implement all these the kind of the functionality. The finally the keyword what we are talking that is functionality. So what is that functionality? So there's websites. If you go to that, yes, which website you are asking about it, that website related functionality. If it is the banking domain functionality, or if it is the insurance functionality, or if it is the like okay, the Rise and Shine Technologies application. Yes, that's LMS is one kind of the domain that is a functionality. Okay, one point we can bring into that into our mind whenever we are talking about this the programming language to develop the applications. That could be websites or mobile application. Okay, mobile application, leave it off it that different softwares that is about iOS based or Android based. But anyway, that is also like a yes, programming language required to implement those apps also. Are you following my points? So one point what we can conclude, just a minute. Yeah, so one kind of the requirement is web applications to implement it. And another one we are saying this is mobile type of applications are available, mobile apps or gaming apps. So we have these different types of the apps. So these application related, the functionality to implement it, we need that, the programming language. So which programming, I'm not going to talk with that. But yes, so in our daily life, if you open this mobile or if you open the laptop or yes, any like a tab or any kind of device, if you are working with that, like some software, that software has been implemented using that the programming language. But what are the different types of that apps which are available? Yes, web application, mobile application, gaming applications. But whenever we talk about the web application, yes, I mean these applications to implement. I mean these type of application. If we just talking about it, domain based. So we have that different domains in the market: banking domain, insurance domain, education domain, healthcare domain. So like I mean, so many LMS, or if you're talking about it, logistics. So the so many kind of that, like a different kinds of the domains, the domain related functionality to implement it. Yes, education domain, that is LMS, we can say. So this kind of the functionality, whenever they're planning to implement it, either through mobile based interaction to that application or web based interaction here I'm talking that. So you need to interact with that, the functionality. So if you're using that like a browsers, we can say that web-based application. Or if you're using that's the mobile-based device, that's we say that mobile-based application. Right? Final, I mean, simple. So there are like about our daily activities itself. So these kind of applications to implement it, yes, we need the programming language. But only the programming, is it enough, or do we need that any other stuff? Yes, we need that other softwares as well. As programming language is not just enough. So we need to, suppose you are implementing that education domain kind of application, or banking domain, or insurance, healthcare, whatever the domain, doesn't matter that. But this domain, the clients data, we need to store it. The storage is required. Functionality to implement it, we are saying that the programming, whether that is web interface or the mobile interface. So on the basis of the type of interface which is required. So we're talking that the programming language required, but where do we store the data? See here, if you just conclude about it, yes, we can use it. The different user interfaces. But finally, the application data, where that is getting stored. Finally, the backend data, somewhere it has to be persistent, right? So if you just talk about it, this is about database. But user interface, if you just talk it, this is maybe web interface. Maybe this is mobile interface. See, like we are using this Rise Technologies application. But that application, whether you are going to use it that through browser, or whether you are going to use it that through mobile, your courses, or what are the courses you are learning, that the course, whenever you are asking that the course data is not going to changing, right? So whether you use it mobile interface or like the internet, I mean that's web interface, so data is the same. So if you conclude that applications wise, backend persistent data is required, but that persistent data, the data which we have, how you are going to access it, how you're going to perform that, interacting with that data, or accessing that the courses, accessing that, yes, that is assignments. So what are the content or what are the functionality we have, that the functionality related data interfaces are maybe different, but finally the data is the same. That is the main point which we need to understand it. But these web interfaces which will be implemented with the different programming languages, mobile interfaces which will be implemented with the different programming languages. So here it comes on the base of the mobile type, yes, Android, or we are going to use it iOS based. So there are like a different softwares that will be used to design these interfaces. But interface, whenever I'm talking that interface contains the functionality also, that is also important. Functionality implementation. And web interfaces is programming language. I'm not going to mention that specific the program. So whether it can be used Python, or it can be used Java, or it can be used .NET. So we have the different programming languages in the market. So on the basis of the client and client requirement, he is going to choose that one of the programming language. to design these interfaces. On a backend, storage is always required. That is database. Yes, as we are understanding that. So maybe if you have this already idea, so MySQL or PostgreSQL or MS SQL or Oracle database. So we have those different databases. So the client is going to use it one of the database. So which database he is going to use it? That is his requirement. His like a cost point of view, the management activities, maintenance activities. So teams which are available. So all those points that will be considered. Let's leave it off it. So which database we are not worrying about it, and which programming language we are not worrying about it. But generic way, if we just think about it, generic approach, yes, MongoDB, yeah, we have this different. But generic approach, if we just talk it that, if the client comes with the functionality, yeah, finally here what we can conclude it, functionality, that is important. So we are using the Rise technologies application is nothing but what is the functionality? That is LMS, learning management system. Or if you're going to work with that, like ICICI Bank application is nothing but what is the functionality that application contains? Banking functionality, like a credit card, debit cards, loans applications. Yes, that's kind of the functionality like that. Yes, on the base of the domain, related, the functionality team comes into the picture, and they give that all the functionality requirements, and on the base of the requirements, which will be designed that application, and finally which will be used the programming language to implement it. So are you clear about this point? So next time onwards, whenever I use it, the functionality keyword, yes, you should come up with that. That could be application related. Yes. So is it clear about this? So can you confirm this in the chat window, CLR? Type that CLR in the chat window, everyone quickly. Because if you have this non-programming, I mean, that like, if you don't have the programming, the knowledge, terminologies are the important. Catch the terminology. So if you are able to understand first the terminologies, then the next activities, the next like the whenever you are implementing the program, that is about your analytical skills. That is about your analytical skills. But a program, if you're going to, I mean, if you're not able to understand, or if you're not able to work with the programming, is nothing but that is about your understanding on the terminology. So first and foremost, you need to have that like a good understanding on the terminology of the programming. So here I didn't use that big terminology. So that is simple, the which I'm talking about it. Yes. So the web application and the domain, like a banking, insurance, there are like the functionality related domains, and the domain related functionality to implement it, whether that is web interface or whether that is mobile interface, we need to use it the softwares. But as the web interfaces, yes, we have this different programming languages, or the mobile interfaces point to implement it is different. The programming languages which are available. But finally, whether that is web interfaces or the mobile interfaces, the data is the same of that application, but where the data will be managed, the data will be managed in the databases or persistent system. So we say that, what is the one more keyword I'm using? Persistent. What is the meaning of the persistent? Type this in the chat window. Whenever I use the keyword persistent, that is storage. Storing the data. Yes, storage. But storages, if you just talk it, we have the different types of the storage. Okay, anyway, let me talk it. That's also. We can store the data in the file format, or we can store the data in the format of like SQL format, or we can store the data in the format of that no SQL format. So there are like different types of, there are the different approaches we can store the data. So what is this? Okay, so persistent, if we just talk it, yes, that is applications data. It can be stored in the file also. Suppose we use it Excel sheets. Excel sheet, if you are using that, which is on the row and the column format, right? A row and a column format. That is also persistent. You are storing the data. That is a file based. Or you can use it like the SQL stored, the structured query language or NoSQL. But what about the SQL, NoSQL? That will come back later. Don't worry about it. But yes, whenever I talk about it, that's application data we need to persistent. Yes, we have the different types of the persistent models that are available. Are you following this, everyone? Is it good? Okay. Here, let me, one more. Yes, if you're going to the learning this, the Python, and especially for the AWS developer point of view or AWS activities point of view is nothing but the file operation also, which we should know. So especially managing the PDF files. And if you're going to looking about the Python with a data science engineer, then reading the files data, writing to the files data, those are all like, they're all like extending that, the functionality. Anyway, I'll conclude that whenever we start this the Python and all that. But this is the basic thing before going to understanding that. So the programming and all those points, yes. So this is the understanding required. The why we need that programming. But actual point I didn't mention the still. Okay, so whatever I'm talking about the programming skills which are required to implement either web interface or mobile interface, I'm talking that. But as a AWS engineer or cloud engineer, why do we need the programming? I didn't talk at that point. I just discussed that so far, general concept. So whenever we hear or whenever we listen that Java or the Python or .NET, immediately about our focus is application implementation. Whatever I just, whatever I'm talking to so far. But why do we need that as a AWS engineer? Why do we need that programming knowledge? Why it is required for us? Yeah. So that's to if I conclude that one more point, so the programming skills, that's why do we need that is automate the things. Automating of activities, daily activities. Okay, this is the best keyword. Daily activities. Yeah, these programming languages. Yeah, helps to understand the program or automate the manual task. Yes, good. Automating daily activities. So what are like daily activities and what are like, why do we need to automate or why do we need to go for that automations? Suppose you have that like in your system, you have the 100 files and all these 100 files every day. Yeah, every day there's some process is writing and every day you need to take that backup to other systems. So the files taking, taking the files backup. So normally you are doing the manually every day. So server is generating some files, and those files you need to take the backup. So if you are going to do that every day, the manual activity, so and so particular time, log into the system and taking that all the files and moving to that like external hard disk or whatever. So the copy command you are going to use it or whatever it is. I'm not going to talk at the functionality level, but just activity point of view. Do you accept it every day? That's like manually working with that. It should be done 24/7. We are the human beings, like, I mean, if you are going to do this every day, that activity, maybe some festival days or holidays. So then like those activities are not possible, right? So if it is one day, okay, we can accept it. But the regular activities, the same activity, if you have the repetition, so just to use that the keyword, same activity, if you have the repeatedly performing that through manually, that activity we can convert into that automation. See, whenever you join to the project as like a DevOps engineer or AWS engineer, so the project is going to have so many problems. Like a different teams are working, the development teams are like system engineers, testing engineers. But what are the like activities which they are performing that regularly? I mean, daily activities with manually. So we need to identify it and we should able to convert that those manual activities into that automation. So this is one of that activity as like AWS cloud engineer, that is AWS related activities. Or if it is DevOps engineer, DevOps related process models, or if it is the system related, OS, Linux, you are learning that. So that's Linux related activities. I'm just talking about that Linux. Linux, we have the file system, and every day you need to take the backup. How you're going to take the backup every day on the Linux system? Manually, are you going to do that? No, that is not recommended. That is a problem they have that. What is the problem? Manager is saying that was like about our developers every day, what are the files they are implementing that they need to take their backup into some external hard disk. So this is a problem he's saying that manager. And you know the Linux. So how do you copy the files or how do we manage the files? So those files you need to take into the backup. That is a solution you need to give it. So what is the problem they have that? Simple. I'm not going to talk it too much because some people you don't know that AWS to talk it much. Yes, that's why like I'm just limiting the voice level. Yeah, taking files backup, and it should be done every day 10 p.m. and so on so folder source directory we have that, and we need to copy all these files to some destination directory. So this is the activity, take the files backup at 10 p.m. every day from this so and so directory to this so and so destination directory. So if you're going to, I mean, this is the activity which is performing by the developers every day. But now they have recruited you as DevOps engineer. And we know that Linux commands like CP command or SCP command on the base of the system. So here, do you need to, I mean, are you going to still after why they are recruiting you? So you need to identify, this is one of the problem statement they have that. This one we can say problem statement. So for this problem statement, you need to provide the solution. So what is the solution? Are you going to give that? So here you need to identify that the system level, is it a Windows system or is it a Linux operating system? So which type of operating system? On the base of that operating system, you need to find the scripting approach. Yes, you need to write that some automation script. Automation script, we need to write it. So this script is going to help in that. So the command, whatever the regular command we are using, so this already the developer is doing that. He knows that what is the command that is required to execute it. Or if he's not using the command, then we need to find the command. Suppose if he's doing that like a control C and control V, that means he's not doing that command line. He's doing that GUI based. Here activities, you can conclude that GUI based activities, CLI based activities. These are all important two keywords which we need to understand it. What is the GUI based? What is the GUI stands for?
Graphical user interface.
Yes, graphical user interface. So suppose if I'm using that Windows
command line.
Yeah, just a minute. So if I'm using that Windows desktop, is it the GUI based or CLI based? So Windows desktop, whatever we are using, is it GUI based? Yes, that is GUI based. Yeah, these are all like a GUI based. Like Windows desktop you are using, or like suppose Mac OS, the ones you logged in, that if you are using any, I mean, the folder system, if you are using, or interfaces, if you are using, that's we say that GUI based. What is the CLI based?
Command line interface.
Okay, good. Command line interface. So what is this command line interface? Yeah, whenever you are working the Linux commands, you are using the terminal, right? Terminal. So that's we can say that SSH session. If you go to more into the programming. Okay, fine, good. I'm not going to talk it. So if you are using the terminal, what we can say this terminal? Terminal is GUI based or CLI based?
CLI based.
Yeah, in Linux we say the terminal, but in the Windows, command prompt or batch prompt. Yes, on the base of the operating system. Yes, if you are using the Linux operating system, we say that terminal. Terminal is CLI based. You are running that some command and command is giving that output. Or if it is the Windows operating system, we say that command prompt. Yes, we need to use it, this terminal or command prompt for the CLI based activities. Or if you are using that browsers, or if you are using that like explorers, then we can say that that is GUI based. Yeah, now here the coming to this problem statement. So here the developer, they're taking that the files backup at 10 p.m. from so-and-so directory to that, so destination directory. If they are doing that the GUI based activity, these this kind of activity, so GUI based, that means control C, control V. So that's kind of activity. Then you need to find that command line, how do we perform that the first to that activity? Then that command line activity, how do we schedule it? Schedule is every day 10 p.m. performing that. That is scheduler activity. But first of all, the GUI based activity, whatever they are doing that, first of all, you should able to convert into that, or you should able to write that CLI command for it. If you are able to write the command, that command you can keep that in one of the file. That is file, what do we say that? Script. Which programming language? I'm not going to talk about that. Are you going to use the shell scripting? Are you going to use the Python programming? I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just talking about it. Problem statement, once if we have, how do we convert into the solution statement? So if the developers are doing that, this activity GUI based, first you need to convert that GUI based into that CLI approach. If you are able to perform that the CLI approach, that means in the terminal, if you are able to perform that activity, then you can take that command and write it in the script. So what is that script? If it is the Linux based, we say that shell scripting. Or if it is the Windows, we say that PowerShell. Are you getting the points of this? So on the base of the system which they are using, identify the problem statement and problem statement converting into that automation script. But what is that automation script? What it is going to have it? So what are like a regular activity which they are doing that activity we need to convert into that as a program. That program we need to automate it. We are not going to run it again, this program manually. So we use it schedulers here. So first convert that activity into script, and the script you can schedule it. Every day 10 p.m. that is a scheduler activity. Schedulers, okay. So on the base of the Linux operating system, Windows operating system, or like you can use it some external triggers or API invocation. We have so many approaches. I'm not going to talk in that. But the point what we have this is how you are understanding the problem statement, the manual activity, whatever, as what is the main point here? Automating daily activities. That is the main point. But first of all, you need to identify that which activity you need to automate it. Understanding properly the problem statement is important. So once you know the problem statement, yes, that problem statement they are doing that GUI based or CLI. If they are already doing that CLI, half of the work is done for us. Then you can take it from the development team, boss, give me that all the commands which you are executing, and take those commands and write it in the one script. Or if they are doing the GUI based, then two activities we need to perform it. What is that activity? So you need to identify that activity, GUI based activity, converting into the CLI based. That is a programming model, command line. If you write the command, then that command you can convert into the script. But that command is on the base of that like Linux operating system or Windows operating system, or is it a mobile based operating system? Yes, which one is that as per the scripts which you need to identify that. And you should make sure that is scheduled. But before the schedule, you need to have a script. But the script to implement it, you should have that some programming knowledge. Some scripting approaches. We are using the shell to automate daily activities, then why we need the Python? So don't worry, I'm not going to talk about that, the difference between the shell and Python now. So my objective today class is where that exactly the program fits. That is my main point. I'm not talking about the shell, or I'm not talking about the Python, but these activities use the shell, these activities use the Python. No, I'm not talking about that. Here, as I mentioned, that the problem statement, taking files backup, taking the files backup on the Linux system or Windows system. As that Linux or the Windows system point of view, I'm talking about that scripting. Here, I didn't mention anywhere about the Python. I'm just talking about it, generic. The word, that is, why do we need the programming? Why do we need that scripting knowledge? Yes. So first, already we are understanding that if the client comes with that, well, this is my domain, education domain, banking domain, or insurance domain, or healthcare domain. He comes with the specific functionality. That functionality to implement it, we need that programming language. That is one point I was concluding that. That is on the basis of that interface, which interface he need it. Which interface he needs it for his functionality. Suppose, just think it of it, the Ryzen technology is approaching that Infosys team. Boss, we need that this LMS application. Okay, fine, good. So Infosys team, what they say that? Okay, we are good. So we'll implement that functionality. So you need that education domain, learning management system. Okay, you need to have the course. In that course, uploading the videos, uploading that lab guides, or uploading the assignments. Okay, this is kind of the functionality. Okay, this functionality to implement it. Which programming language or which interface, first of all, do you need it? Do you need that only web interface or mobile interface also? Okay, Ryzen is confirming that, okay, we need that web interface and as well as mobile Android. Okay, fine, good. So what is the Infosys they say that? Okay, we'll implement it, web interface and the mobile interface. And we need to have the storage for it and web interface to implement it. Yes, there are the programming languages are available. Which programming language do you want that? So this is like a kind of discussion proposal. Here, who is the client? Ryzen is the client. Who is the vendor? Who is providing the service? Infosys is the provider. So then in that case, they need to find that the programming language. Suppose Ryzen is confirmed with the Python. Okay, they use the Python to implement this web application. Or Java they use it. Or .NET they use it. Okay, we need the mobile interface Android. Okay, Android based. They design it and they give it to us. That is one case, the programming requirement. Another requirement, okay, so this course, like yes, this LMS application, Ryzen technologies, every day the videos which you are uploading to the site, we are uploading that videos to the in the site for the courses is nothing but those videos should be taken the backup or not. Yeah, that is a backend activity. So now what is that activity? Taking those video files backup. Our entire application should be taken at a backup every day. So one kind of activity here we are understanding, implement the functionality. But once its application is ready, that application to maintenance it or to manage it every day what are the activities? Application has to take the backup. But how do they take that application backup? Are they going to do work with that like manually, taking that backup every day? So this is their problem statement. Okay, application is ready and the client is accepted. Fine, good. We are using that. But every day, what are like videos we are uploading that, or what are my students, the courses which they are going through that, it should be tracked, it should be managed. But all that data has to be taken the backup. How do you take that backup? That is internal problem statement. So this problem statement to convert into the solution. What is the solution? Here they need to have it one automation script. That automation script, whether they can use it, the shell scripting or the PowerShell or whatever it is, or Python, whatever it is. We are not going to talk at that. So, but here required some scripting. So who is going to work it on this? So this problem statement converting into the solution document, whether that is the operation engineer or whether the DevOps engineer or AWS cloud engineer. So he should know the scripting approach. So on the basis of that operating system, whether that is Linux shell scripting or whether that is Windows PowerShell, or maybe like on the basis of that activity, other programming language. I'm not concluding that the Python only here. No, I'm not talking today at all about the Python. So here also the scripting required. That's why we are mentioning that programming requires not only just to implement the web application, mobile applications, to automate about our daily activities. Our internal project is going to have so many problem statements. Those problem statements, to get the solutions, yes, we need to write the scripts also. Are you getting the points about it? Third kind of the requirement, where the programming requires. Are you following the points? So type that importance of the programming language, IPL. So type that IPL in the chat window. If you understand those problem statements, type that IPL, importance of the programming language. Okay, good to see that. Okay, so here the main points what we are trying to understand is, yes, web application side we need the programming. Finally, if we conclude it, and automation activities also we need to have the programming importance. These two cases, yeah, IPL, importance of the programming language. Yes, these two activities point of view we should know the programming. So if you are more into that application implementation side, then you need to have this more programming knowledge and more programming depth of it. Second point, yes, if you are going to use the programming for these kind of the problem statements related solutions to give it, then also require the programming, but that is not required that much advanced level. So here on the basis of about your role, which you are going to perform it, you are looking about that web application development, then it is required that more, you are completely working on the programming language. But if you are working on these kind of the problem statements, require the programming language, but the extreme level not required. I've got now the point of the difference. Okay, as a AWS and AWS developer point of view, the one more point of view also, let me conclude it. Where exactly the programming required for us as AWS developers. So we are not going to work it completely on the web application side, but we need that the Python programming or a particular programming language. So one more activity which we see, that IAC. So what is it? IAC is infra as code, infrastructure as a code. Suppose maybe you are using that like VirtualBox with Vagrant to launch the virtual machine in our local hypervisor. That is, yes, VirtualBox. Local hypervisor is VirtualBox. And you are launching the virtual machines. But I'm going to ask that automate those activities, launching the virtual machine. 10 virtual machines I need it. And after launching the 10 virtual machines, install the Apache server or some database server or middleware server, and then deploy the application. I am asking these kind of activities. Then how do you perform it? So these are 10 servers. Are you getting my points? Right. Let me open this new. So one more kind of the requirement, what I am talking this is. So infrastructure as a code. This is important for us. So IAC, I'm going to talk with that. So IAC, infra as a code. So normally what are the activities we perform, that is, as we are talking that we need to have it. Okay, fine, good. So leave it off that. We need to have it the databases, we need to have it the web application, we need to have the, as we are talking about it, yes, the middleware servers. But how you are going to manage it, all these servers and services for the application? So application, if you just talk it about it, application required web servers, app servers, databases. So there are like a different kind of the resources. If you'd like to host that application, so there are the kind of the resources required. But if you'd like to host it, this application for development environment, for testing environment, for production environment. So development environment, I need that one web server, one app server, and one database. But testing environment also the same required. One web server, one app server, and one database. But for the production environment, I need that two web servers and some 4 app servers and database with a high availability. So application is only one. Think about it here. One more kind of the requirement where that the programming required. One we are understanding web application. Second one we are understanding so system level or the infra level daily activities. If you have anything, those activities to automate it, yes, we need to know that the programming skills. Now the importance of that, the programming in the market. Now the third activity which we are trying to understand it, to manage that infra. So what is this infra? Yes, we need to have that operating systems, we need to have the networks, we need to have the storages. If you are running that Linux operating system, that Linux operating system backend storage required. That's required the networks. If you are installing any softwares, is networking required. CPU required, memory is required. So launching the system, that system, whether you are going to use it for to install the web server or app server or database. But why do we need these servers? Yes, to run that application. Application is implemented using the programming language. That programming language to run it or to manage it, this infra is required. But this infra, is it only for that one system? No, we have the different environments, development environments, testing environments, production environment, that is live environment. In each environment, we need to have it these servers. But these servers, how you are going to manage it? Suppose Infosys is having the 10 clients, just assume that. But 10 clients, 10 applications, each application, different environments. Then how you are going to manage that? All the different 10 applications related, 10 different environments, 10 into 3, that means 30 environments. Here, 30 plus, I mean, how many servers? So for each environment, 3 servers. So here total how many? 3 plus 3, 6, 6 plus almost 20 for one application. So 10 applications, if you have 10 into 20, that means 200 servers you need to manage it. 200 servers, maybe this server is down or you need to restart it. or so and so, like the middleware servers, you need to restart it, or you need to do some configurations here. Then how you're going to manage it, all these activities? Is it all one-time activities? No, right? That managing the 10 applications for the different environments, all those 200 servers, that is not one-day activity. That is how long the client is continuing that. That is 1 year or 2 years agreement, 3 years agreement with the client. We need to manage those servers. But how you're going to manage it? Manually, are you going to work with that? Here also required the coding. But here, which type of the coding we say that? Infra as a code. Are you getting my points? Are you clear about that? IAC? Type that IAC in the chart window. So infras to manage it, we need to write the code. Daily activities to automate it, we need to write the code. Web applications or the mobile application to implement it, we need to write the code, or we should know the code. Now know that importance of that, the programming. If we say that I don't know the programming, do you get the job in the IT? Think it of it. Which background do you have doesn't matter that. Whether you have this computers background, non-computers background, doesn't matter that. If we say that I'm not willing to learn the programming, do you get the job in the market? Say yes or no. So what is my point? If you say that I have the fear of the programming. If you say, or if you have that mindset, do you get the job in the IT? After knowing all these, the scenarios and importance of the programming, still if you are in the mindset of that, I'm having the fear of the programming, then we don't get the job. Yes or no? Confirm that in the chart window. So what is about our mindset? We should try to learn the programming. If you have the fear of the programming, yes, so some of the mindsets, how that would be is, no programming, logical thing, we need to write it. No, I don't have the interest. But you should not, you should not say that I don't have the interest to learn the programming. But yes, but so now the point is here, the programming, the levels we have that. So if you are looking about the completed development, then extreme knowledge is required on the programming. That is web development side. If you're looking about it, then you need to have the extreme knowledge on the programming. But if you're going to do these kind of activities, that is infrastructure as a code, or daily activities automation, that means cloud engineer or like DevOps engineer, we should know the programming, but depth of the knowledge, that is not that much required. Are you clear my points? Have you got the conclusion of this statement? Good. I see there's so many responses. Yes, really good. You got it, the point. Yeah, so here, this the tomorrow onwards, what are the programming we are going to learn it? So I'm not going to talk about shell scripting or the Python. So the leave it off. The shell script, you need to learn it. Shell script you are learning is nothing but OS related activities to automate it. You are learning that. But tomorrow we are starting about the Python is nothing but here we are going to use that the Python, the moderate level we are going to learn it. So we are going to have it that the program certifications. So the Python level we have that the programs. One we say that PCEP, that is Python certification entry level, and PCEAP, that is associate level programming. So PCEP, I mean, you just search it in the Google and you will get it that like all these certificates. Let me show that. Python certifications. So we are going to look into that, the certifications oriented. PCEP, that is entry level Python programmer. And one more thing, that is PCEAP, that is associate level programming. Yeah, certifications, if you observe that, PCEP, that is entry level, and PCEAP, that is associate level. So these two kinds of the certificates, we are going to learn that. But after knowing that these PCEP and PCEAP, yeah, if you would like to complete the certification, yes, that is added advantage. Yes, if you complete it. But about our course curriculum, whatever we are going to talk at that. So this exam syllabus, if you refer it, that is they have given. Yeah, so here you can go to that, the exam syllabus. Yeah, so these sections we are going to talk in that. Yeah, computer programming and Python fundamentals, control flow, the basic concepts, data types, data collections, functions and exceptions. So this is the first the level of the programming, and the next level of that PCEAP. So these two types of the certifications we are going to talk at that. And then once we know that these are Python, all these are concepts, we will manage this Python to the infrastructure as a code. So AWS, whatever we are learning that is a GUI based, you learned it so far. Maybe if you have got that, like, I mean, if you didn't complete that AWS, that's fine. But if you have already completed, we are using the so far console, AWS management console, that is GUI based. But same activities, whatever we discussed, all those activities we can write as a code. That is using the Python. So first we are going to talk it that's learning the Python. But that Python we are going to convert into that as about our AWS development. Is it clear my point? Why do we need the Python for the AWS engineer or cloud engineer? Are you getting my points? Yeah, good. So I see there's some responses. Yeah, so the Python here that like two ways or different ways you can use it, but we are going to talk about that infrastructure as a code. And not only that, the importance now, what do we have this with the Python is, if you'd like to go to this web development, yes, and these two certifications, after that, some frameworks you need to learn it. The frameworks, adding that about your frameworks, that is the next level of it. But which frameworks? For that, like web development side, if you are moving that, we have this like a Flask framework, Django framework. There are all some frameworks are available. But if you are moving to the AWS into, the Python into AWS developer, we have the Boto framework or Troposphere frameworks. So these frameworks, as per that, which frameworks you know that, or if you're going to add it those frameworks, then you are going to become that. Is it web development side or is it a AWS development side, or is it like data science side or AI side or ML side? So adding the more frameworks on the basis of about your interest, then you can define about your development side, or is it a cloud engineer side? Suppose tomorrow client asks you that, once if you know this PCEP and PCAP, so if the client asks you that, boss, are you interested to learn that some other frameworks on the data science? Yes. Because these are all the basic pillars to move into the next frameworks. So that's, I mean, if you observe that we have the foundation program, mastery program, and as well as the next level, which we have this is PG program. So until the mastery program, we are going to cover about that PCEP and PCAP with AWS Cloud Engineers related the role. But if you have this interest on the next level, that is a machine learning or AI, then these Python, some additional frameworks you are going to learn it. So this way you can move into that about the career. But first basic things, they're all required. But next, as if you have this like the interest on that, that is the next level of it. Yes, you have the AI, ML, data science related frameworks adding about it. Yeah, that is about our journey. The first PCEP and PCAP, we are going to learn it, and then we are going to apply the Python to the AWS. That is about our mastery programming. Is it clear about these points? Type this in the chat window if you got it, the clarity on it, so CLR. Great, great. Good to see that's everyone. Yeah, so that is about this today, understanding that importance of the programming and where exactly the program fits. You should have this idea. So there should not be no confusion. So the Python or programming, any programming, that is, I mean, so I'm not going to restrict it to that only Python. So if you know the programming skills, that's now my point here. Today's my main agenda is change the mindset to the programming. Without knowing the programming, we cannot sustain in the IT. We cannot get that high packages in the IT. So who are going to lose the jobs in the IT? Who are going to lose the jobs now in the IT? Who is not having these latest the skill set? Who is not interested to upgrade to the latest these kind of the programming approaches. So before that, that's 4 years, everyone was moving into that like a non-programming side, that is administration activities, database administration, middleware administration. But if you are planning that only, sir, I don't have this interest on the programming, do you have any other option to move into that IT? Maybe you will get a temporary solution, but not the permanent solution. So that's why we have included, if you observe that in our course curriculum, cloud is one of the basic, the next generation. You cannot avoid that infra without cloud. So if you are using the servers and the projects, the cloud importance is there. And in the cloud, any system you are using is nothing but most of the systems Linux. Now we got it about that Linux. We are learning or we got it the Linux. So cloud, the Linux. Now another basic pillar for IT engineer, what do we need to have it is programming. But this programming, yes, we are going to apply to that, the cloud level and with automation activities. So where it is going to save that the lot of time and a lot of expenditure on the project side to the clients. So all those things we are coming up with that. So after learning this programming, yes, how you are going to use it with the DevOps process model. With this, the Python and the infrastructure as a code models. We have other models also. Yeah, Python in different ways we can use it. But as per the scenario, as per the project, we will talk about that. Yeah, Python, you can use it in infrastructure as a code. Python, you can use it in the process. Python, you can use it in the cloud without having, but if you don't have this idea, then I cannot use it, those words. So I'll talk it anyway. Don't worry about that. With the different use cases, we have that. So about our resume should get more weight, more weightage if you'd like to get it. Yes, all these basic pillars required and extending about that with the project knowledge. That is, we'll come back to that. Don't worry. So this Python, we are going to have it approximately 15 to 20 classes that is required for me. Yeah, tomorrow I'll give that some more inputs on the programming side. Before starting the Python, yes, some more points we should know. Now, today we got it, importance of the programming language. But if you're learning that any programming, whether the shell scripting, whether the Python, but what are the basic things required? What are the basic terminologies? So we have one, or we need that one more class for it. Yes, tomorrow we'll talk it on that. The programming technologies, any programming, whether the shell you are learning or PowerShell you are going to learn it, or whether you are going to learn that Groovy or any kind of, so the Java programming. So some basic fundamentals we have that. So those fundamentals we'll talk it. Then we will apply those fundamentals to the Python. Are you clear? So if you are good with that, so we'll wind up for today and we'll start tomorrow. So finally, my conclusion is change the mindset. So I see that only 3 members are having that some programming knowledge, but remaining all the people, so who are not having the programming knowledge, but this is the time to change the mindset. Yes, I need to learn the program. Otherwise, I don't get the job in IT. Have that feel every day and try to spend some time on the logical thinking. Yeah, problem statement. Yes, main is how you are providing the solution to the problem. If you are going to take the challenging problems and if you are given the solutions, then you will get that more salary. Simple. Forget my points. Why do they give the salary? If you provide the solutions to their problems, then they will give the salary. But those problems, which kind of the problems you are taking that? Is it everyone is taking the same problem? Then we don't get that much importance. But what are the problems you are going to solve to that projects? If that is something different and something like in a different areas, you can do that. If you have that caliber, that is infra level or daily automation level, or maybe if it is required the programming level, application level. If you have this kind of the skill set, then about your role is going to become that the very, very, very impact in the project. If you are able to impact that role, definitely whatever you demand that the package, that you will get it. So keep these points in the mind. So multiple role. Yes, that could be infra level, that could be automation level, that could be, yes, if it is required, that application level. So what is this? I mean, now how it can be moved. But learn the basic the first. Don't go that like the extreme level, not required. But what are the standards you are building that? First, have that the very good platform on it. I mean, the very good the confidence on it. Then automatically you will become that the one by one step. Yeah, anyway, so I'm here to give that all the instructions. Don't worry. But yes, so change the mindset. That is the first and foremost point I would like to mention. Thank you all. So that's all from my side for today. So we'll meet tomorrow and we'll continue understanding that generic programming approach first, then we'll move into the Python. Yes, any queries, questions, please let me know before going to wind up today. How is the class today? So is it helpful? So much motivating, is helpful, informative, sir. Thank you. Yeah, it was helpful. Thank you everyone. Yeah, so just to keep that mindset, then it will be helpful. Yeah, thank you all. So I'm going to sign off for today.